I'm gonna do the BookTube Real Talk 2.0 tag. I was tagged by Silver Rose Reads, and this tag was created by Alyssa J. So timestamp or comment anything that resonated with you in this video. First question, if you could give yourself one piece of advice when you started making videos, what would it be? The only thing I could give myself as advice is like put a little bit more effort into doing descriptions, titles, do the keywords, all of the stuff that makes you visible within the community, and just optimizing yourself within the platform and promoting yourself so that you can build up an audience and build that community. Find your tribe within the community. Just putting a little bit more effort, just to keep going, keep doing it, just like have fun with it, enjoy it. Number 2. What are your thoughts on cancel culture? It's a complex issue. Some people are unjustly canceled and banished and beaten down compared to other people who have done more egregious things and they're like getting to skate by or getting a moment where people are like against them and then forgetting all about it and everybody's fans and friends and cool with them all over again. And some people get justly canceled. It's over for them. But I do think having certain privileges may help some people avoid being completely canceled, being able to bounce back from cancellation and stuff like that. If you're white, rich, male, straight, you're very likely to get away with being canceled. And I think part of the thing with cancellation is it needs to be a little bit more nuanced and not blanket. Canceling is a very personal thing. For some people, they're gonna continue to listen to a particular person. They're still gonna be fans of a certain person. They're still going to read certain books, listen to certain music, watch certain movies. In the case of Woody Allen, sometimes it's more nuanced for some people where they appreciate the art, but they don't agree with the artist and what they've done. The one thought I've had about cancel culture before is, should a cancel person's work be wiped clean from public knowledge and access, especially if it is unrelated to their crimes and offenses? Number 3, do you consider BookTube to be a welcoming community? Yes, but it does depend on who you meet and who you interact with. And I do think it can be welcoming depending on your access to resources, your race, your presentation, how you present on camera, your abilities or disabilities, and your background. I do think it's welcoming, but it can also still be very selectively welcoming as well. Not everybody's that way, but for the most part, it's a welcoming community. Number 4, what are your thoughts on book consumerism? Do you feel pressure to buy books? Not really. Maybe if I hear about a book that I find enticing or I really like the cover and I think the story sounds interesting, I will buy the book. I don't have to buy a book. Most of the time I kind of buy it because there's a convenience in still buying books for me. Because as much as I could go to the library, sometimes the books that I want to read, it's on hold. And then you can only read it for 2 weeks, and sometimes it takes me a while to read a book, so I'm gonna need my time to read it, and I don't want to have to rush back. And granted, I could probably still pay the late fees, but still, it's like... But for the most part, I do not have any thoughts or that many thoughts about BookTube consumerism. If you can afford to indulge in the bookish things that you buy, go for it. You have the right to. It's your money. You do what you want to do. Go for it. This is America. It's capitalism, consumerism. But I will say I appreciate the diversity in ways of accessing books to read, whether it's going to Libby or Overdrive or just to the library. Number 5, would you consider yourself a critical reader / reviewer? I am a bit of a critical reader, and almost to a fault because I am a writer. I do find myself critiquing what I'm reading, but I also read for enjoyment. So I kind of try to balance the two. Sometimes with some books I get more critical because I'm not enjoying the book, and I think I critique it because, hey, I'm trying to understand, why don't I like this book? Why is this book not connecting with me? Why am I reading this and just the enjoyment that I think I should be feeling is not happening? What's going on? Sometimes even with books that I'm enjoying, as a reviewer, I do try to be as objective as possible. And my criticalness at its core comes from my enjoyment of a story. Number 6, do you take part in readathons? What are your thoughts on them? I do take part in readathons. I think they're fun. This year, I just mainly wanted to take part in a few main readathons Blackathon, Asian Readathon, The Reading Rush. Anything that just feels like resonates with me, I will take part in those readathons. I think they're a great tool within the community to connect the community based on our interests, our identities. We can also learn about new authors and new stories, especially centering different demographics within the community. It's a challenge for us within the community to, you know, read different books, read more books within a month, read more of a particular demographics books, read more books by particular authors. Number 7, recommend a book with a topic/issue that you are passionate about. I don't really have a book that has any topic or issue that I'm passionate about. I just have 2 books that I want to recommend, and that's all. The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah. I definitely want to recommend that because I just love the story. I love that book. It is about a young Black girl in New York City who comes from a prominent drug dealing family, and her adventures through New York City when her life gets changed and turned upside down. Just her adventures trying to figure out how she's going to hustle and survive in New York City. And then also B-Boy Blues by James Earl Hardy. That is another book that I definitely recommend because it's Black, gay. It's actually, now that I think about it, it's kind of like a Black gay girlfriend, or like a Black gay like living single, because it's just, I don't know, it has a little bit of that in there, but it's still like this very Black gay romance of like these young Black gay people in the 90s, and it's just so cool. I love it. Yeah, those are 2 things. Those are 2 stories, 2 books that I'm very, very passionate about. I definitely would like other people to read them, and I do definitely recommend them as great books to read. They are quality fiction. And for this tag, I want to tag Onyx Pages, Melanin Eclectic, Thistle and Verse, Neeks, Brews and Books, and The Broken Spine. I definitely want to hear what all of them have to say to all these questions in this tag. Thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'm out this bitch like Fleek. The fuck.